first half of 2021 is over. Investors who saw Apple stock skyrocket in the past 2 years must have felt a bit more uncomfortable this time. Shares of the Cupertino company managed to climb 3.5% from January to June 2021, but with quite a bit of volatility and pullbacks along the way. We start with a high-level overview of Apple stock's performance in the first half, along with some interesting metrics. Absolute annualized return was 7%, which compares unfavorably to the S&P 500's annualized 33%, and also with Apple's own 23% since the 1980s. Annualized volatility was 34%, which was high compared to Apple's 27% over the past decade. The maximum drawdown was 19%, as Apple barely escaped bear territory in March 2021. The best month of returns was June, at positive 10%, and the worst month of returns was February at negative 8%. The year started with bullish expectations for fiscal first quarter results. Ahead of the January 27th earnings day, Apple stock price climbed just about 12% in only 1 week to reach all-time highs. Investors were likely excited about pent-up demand for the iPhone 12, whose release in 2020 had been delayed. But that was as far as Apple went all year. By March 8th, less than 6 weeks after earnings, the stock was tiptoeing around bear-style correction territory. Nothing seemed particularly wrong with Apple itself, other than some speculation on Wall Street that demand for Apple's products and services could falter with the end of the stay-at-home consumer trends. However, bearishness in the first quarter can probably be best explained by the cyclical rotation, which started roughly with the announcement of the first COVID-19 vaccines in November. It was time for investors and traders to bet on banks, airlines, commodities, but not on big tech. Also, inflation concerns took center stage as the global economies began to reopen. As a result, the 10-year Treasury yield skyrocketed from 1% to 1.6% during the same period that Apple shares headed sharply lower. It was probably not a coincidence that Apple share price climbed from the gutter as soon as yields stabilized, starting around mid-March. By mid-April, Apple started to show signs that it could reach all-time highs any moment. It's also possible that the company's springloaded event on April 20th contributed to briefly improved investor sentiment. However, shortly after the unveiling of the iPad Pro, the new iMac with the M1 chip, Apple TV, 4K, AirTag, and the purple iPhone 12, Apple shares headed down 9% from the April high through May 12th. Only at that point did Apple find its way north again. June, for example, was a fantastic month of returns for the stock. I believe that bullishness can be credited to the usual summer anticipation of the new iPhone model and the holiday season sales. This, coupled with number 1, a forward PE that dipped to the low 20s, number 2, stable yields, and number 3, a dip in market volatility, led me to becoming much more bullish on Apple for the next few months.